everyone, welcome back to Coach Greg Sports. Today is Thursday, so we're going to be looking at some DFS value picks for this week. I'm going to just show you the guys that I like. This is going to be for DraftKings, so if you guys are playing on a different site, just be sure to check out some of the players I mentioned, see how they're priced on your site as well. But without further ado, let's get into it. So we'll start off at the quarterback position. So these are guys that are $6,000 or less on DraftKings that I'm looking at. So Teddy Bridgewater is the first one. He comes in at $5,900. He's playing against Atlanta this week. Atlanta's defense has been terrible, so he's a pretty good value here. Then next up's Kirk Cousins. He comes in at $5,900 as well. He goes against Seattle's defense that's banged up. It's been pretty porous. It hasn't been good against the pass at all. So Cousins could be a definite value here as well. Then I move down to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones comes in at $5,400. He's been pretty bad this year, but the Cowboys' defense is not that good, honestly. So it's kind of it could be a value pick, but it's a risky value pick at that. Then once again, Derek Carr comes in at $5,300. He's been pretty good this year, honestly. So I think he's just undervalued. He's probably not going to put up the most points in the world, but if you want to pay down at the quarterback position and pay up at other positions, he's definitely a guy you can consider. Then the last two guys were previously backups that are starting this week. Joe Flacco comes in at $4,800. He's going against the Cardinals defense that didn't do too well against Teddy Bridgewater. I know the Jets offense is nothing special, but they might have Le'Veon Bell back this week. And Flacco at $4,800 is cheaper than pretty much anybody else you can start. I wouldn't recommend starting him, but he is definitely a value pick if you want to go that way. Then last but not least, we have Kyle Allen for the Washington football team. He's coming in to replace Dwayne Haskins. He's $4,100, which is way lower than any other starting quarterback. He wasn't that great last year for the Panthers, but Kyle Allen, you could stack him with Terry McLaurin for a real cheap stack there if you want to do something like that. We'll move over to running backs. So running backs, I'm mainly looking at people that are going to be $5,000 or less. So the first one we're going to talk about is another Washington football team member, Antonio Gibson. He had his best week of the season so far last week against the Baltimore Ravens. They're going up against the Rams this week. Kyle Allen has been known to check down to the running back quite a bit. So if he's in the backfield, he could see a couple additional targets that way as well. Comes in at $5,000. Next up is D'Ernest Johnson, who is going to be getting some run now that Nick Chubb's done for a while on IR with the Cleveland Browns. Johnson himself had 13 carries for 95 yards last week. I expect Kareem Hunt to take the bulk load of the touches, but Johnson will see some, and at $4,700, he's probably fairly priced, but he could be a potential value, especially if he gets in the end zone. Then we have Damian Harris. If you guys didn't watch Monday Night Football, he ran for 100 yards on 17 carries. He comes in at $4,300 this week. So if he does anything similar, he's definitely worth it for $4,300. Another one for $4,300 is Justin Jackson. Austin Eckler is going to be out for a while now. So it's going to be Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson. Jackson's the cheaper play here. They're going against a tough run defense in the Saints. They'll probably be trailing in this game, honestly. So Jackson's the better receiving back, so he could have a little bit of value there as well. Then one of my personal favorites is Duke Johnson. I'm a Texans fan anyways, so I might be a little biased, but Bill O'Brien got fired this week. He is probably David Johnson's biggest supporter since he traded DeAndre Hopkins for him. And honestly, I think Duke Johnson's just better than David Johnson at this point in their respective careers. Duke saw 38% of snaps last week. David Johnson saw about 55%. I would not be surprised if this is a 60-40 time split or even closer to 50-50. So coming in at $4,100, Duke Johnson, he definitely has some upside, especially in this matchup against Jacksonville. Then we got somebody from tonight's game, which is going to be Keyshawn Vaughn. He comes in at $4,000. He scored a touchdown last week. I think he'll be a little bit involved tonight against the Bears. So for $4,000, if he does anything, he's definitely worth it. Doesn't look like Leonard Fournette or LaShawn McCoy are going to play. So it's just going to be him and Ronald Jones. If Ronald Jones makes a stupid mistake, if he fumbles, if he misses a pass protection, he's probably going to get pulled out of the game. And at that point, Keyshawn Vaughn could be a tremendous, tremendous value for $4,000. Then we got two more that I'm going to mention. They're $4,000 as well. Alexander Madison is the first one. Honestly, he's just undervalued. But he's probably not going to get that many touches. But if they're trailing, they have been known to use him a little bit more than Dalvin Cook for whatever reason. So If that happens, he could be a value for $4,000. He still probably needs to find the end zone to have enough value, though. And then last but not least is J.D. McKissick for $4,000. A lot of what I talked about with Antonio Gibson applies to McKissick as well. He's the running back that's been in the most for Washington, and he's a good pass catching back, so Kyle Allen could have a bunch of dump offs down to him as well. Then we'll move over to wide receiver. So wide receiver, I'm going to look at guys that are 5,000 or less as well. First guy on my list is Jarvis Landry. It's not the best matchup in the world, but for $5,000, he is underpriced, and if he puts up a decent game, he definitely could be worth it. And then next up, we got Darius Slayton. He comes in at $4,800. They're going against a Cowboys defense that has really been awful so far this year. Darius Slayton's the best wide receiver on the Giants, so he's definitely going to be who Daniel Jones is looking for a lot of the time. If Jones and him can find a little bit of connection, get some yardage, it's definitely a matchup that can be exploited. So maybe you're looking at a Daniel Jones and a Darius Slayton stack, because you can do that for relatively cheap and still have a lot of money to fill in elsewhere. And next guy I got after that is another Giant, which is Golden Tate. You can use the opposite argument here. So the Giants' offensive line isn't very good. The Cowboys' defense, the only good part about it is probably their pass rush. So if they're able to get pass rush on Daniel Jones quick, he's going to have to dump it off short passes to like Golden Tate in the slot or like Evan Ingram. Golden Tate at $4,600 could be a value here. Just another thing to watch out for is he did have that fight with Jalen Ramsey. I don't think the league office has said anything about that yet, but if he did get suspended or something like that, then you definitely couldn't play Golden Tate. Then another guy in tonight's game is Scotty Miller, comes in at $4,500. Chris Godwin's out in this one. O.J. Howard's done for the year now. Justin Watson's not going to play in this game either. Mike Evans is going to be a game-time decision. So if Evans didn't play, Scotty Miller's like the last man standing, so he's got to get some type of volume here. So for $4,500, he could be a steal. And then even if Evans did play, he could still have value as well. Then we got two guys that come in at $4,400. Tim Patrick and McCole Hardman. Tim Patrick, he's kind of become the alpha dog for Denver. They're without KJ Hamler and Noah Fant this week. I know they go against the Patriots. The Patriots defense is pretty good. They're going to be without Stephon Gilmore since he tested positive now. And we'll just have to see how that all plays out. But I think Tim Patrick is talented enough. He's somebody that I've liked for a while. For whatever reason, Jerry Jeudy's had a lot of hit or misses this year. So look for Patrick to have a decent game in this one, and he could definitely be a value. And then McCole Hardman on the other side. He's a guy, he might not get as much volume as some of these other guys that are on this list, but he only takes one play to pan out. And going against the Oakland Raiders defense, which isn't very good, he could definitely be worth it for $4,400. Then we had Jalen Guyton. He's somebody I brought up last week, if I remember correctly. He is $3,700. If Mike Williams misses again, he could definitely be a value. He did have a touchdown last week, so that helped him out quite a bit. And Justin Herbert obviously loves throwing the ball deep. Another one that's really good, I think, this week is Damiere Byrd for $3,000. He saw 10 targets, I believe it was, last week against Kansas City. And it seemed like Brian Hoyer and Jarrett Stidham like throwing to him at least. So if Julian Edelman continues his drop problem, N'Keal Harry's not the greatest in the world either. So Damiere Byrd could be a value here, especially with Hoyer and potentially Stidham locking in on him a little bit. He goes against a Denver matchup that's pretty favorable to wide receivers, so he could has upside. Then we got Jeff Smith for the Jets. He's somebody I'm just going to mention. He had a real good game against the Broncos. Played on 95% of snaps. If Brashard Perriman plays in this one, it probably hurts his value a little bit. But if he doesn't, Smith's definitely a value here. We'll move over to the tight end position now. Probably I'm just going to mention guys that are below 5,000. So I only got four, honestly. So Jonnu Smith is one, $4,900. The only thing here is they're probably not going to end up playing this game or it's going to get postponed, so you don't want to start him, especially with all the issues the Titans have going on now. They have 23 people that have tested positive now. It's kind of a mess, honestly. We'll have to see how the league plays that out. And then Eric Ebron comes in at $4,000. He goes against the Philadelphia Eagles. They're terrible against the tight end so far this year. They lost one of their linebackers, T.J. Edwards. So, it's going to be even worse now. Ebron's looked pretty good. He's actually my start of the week in our podcasting article. So if you guys aren't familiar with that, I can leave a link down in the description below. It will link you guys to that article, and you can check out our picks for the week there as well. But I think it's definitely a great matchup for Ebron. Logan Thomas at 3,500. The Rams haven't been like great against the tight end in general, and Thomas is always on the field. He's seen a decent amount of targets until last week. Kyle Allen might throw the tight end. We're not quite sure on that one yet, so it's a little bit of a risky pick. But if he does anything at all, he could pan out for $3,500. Then the last guy I have to put on my list was Ian Thomas for $3,400. He's been pretty bad this year. He had 2 catches and ended up with a touchdown last week. But if you guys watch Monday Night Football and saw Robert Tonyan destroy this Atlanta Falcons defense, there's a chance that Ian Thomas at least gets a touchdown and pans out for $3,400. I expect this to be more of a DJ Moore and a Robbie Anderson game, but there is a chance for Thomas in this one as well. So looking at the defenses now, I'll go from low to high. So there's not too many good pay all the way down defenses this week, honestly. Cheap defense of the week pretty much is Carolina Panthers. $2,400 going against the Atlanta Falcons right now. Panthers defense, we didn't expect too much from at the beginning of the year. They played a little bit better last 2 weeks. So Atlanta could be without Julio Jones. They could be without Calvin Ridley, maybe even too. If they're missing some of their pieces, playing the Panthers defense against them shouldn't hurt you, at least. And in DFS, sometimes you just need a cheap defense. They're definitely a cheap defense to look out for this week. Then I move over to the Cowboys, 3,100. Like I said, Daniel Jones does not look good this year. He's a turnover machine. Their offensive line can't block. The Cowboys' defensive line is the best thing they got. So there is a chance for sacks in this one. There is a chance for turnovers. And for $3,100, it's not a bad value at all. Then we'll move over to Tampa. Tampa's going against Chicago tonight. We kind of talked about them already. Tampa's defense is pretty good. I know Justin Herbert was able to beat them deep, but Nick Foles is not going to be able to do that. The Bears wide receivers are not going to be able to do that. So it's definitely a good matchup for them. 49ers defense comes in at $3,700. I think they're a little overpriced, but against Miami, Ryan Fitzpatrick's been known to throw an interception or two. So it's definitely a matchup that they could cause some turnovers and get some points that way. Last but not least, I got the Rams against Washington football team. And Kyle Allen comes in at quarterback. He wasn't that good last year. I know Haskins hasn't been good either, but the Rams defense is at least decent. And if they get any pressure on Kyle Allen, if he throws an interception, fumbles, anything like that, they definitely could be worth it for $4,000. It's a little bit more than that probably would pay up for this week, but it's a decent matchup as well. Overall, these are my value picks for DFS on DraftKings this week. Be sure to let me know what you think of these picks down in the comments below. If you guys have any other value picks that you'd like to share with me, share with everybody else, leave it down in the comments below as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much all we got for this video. If you guys liked and enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Please consider doing so. It helps build the community that we are trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports. If you're a new or current subscriber who has yet to do so, please hit that notification bell as well. It'll let you know every single time that I post up a video. Like I've been saying, put up about 5 videos a week. Then I'll be doing live stream on Sunday as well this week. Looks like we might have Matt back on the channel to talk about some of his DFS picks for this week as well. That'll probably go up on Saturday if we do have that. Yeah. But with that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed and have a great rest of your day.